Hey guys, Nishquick here, and look who's back. Shark's back, but in person.
How you guys doing?
Sitting next to each other and in person. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about superheroes and superhero games specifically, because this is something we've always wanted to talk about, and we both are pretty big superhero fans with superhero movies, comics, and of course games. So today we want to talk about our favorite superhero games and some favorite superhero or some superhero games we were excited for in the near or far future. And of course, you guys can think of some already. You might have seen some in the thumbnail as well. And yeah, so let's get started. So I guess I'll have a quick start here. So you have quite the history with superhero games.
Mm-hmm.
I do, but not to the extent as you. But what's interesting is my first ever video game that I owned and played was a superhero game. It was Spiderman for the PS2. I have it somewhere here. I think it's in my room somewhere.
Was it the first one or the second one?
It was the first. Spiderman. Just Spiderman. It was just titled Spiderman, but Tobey Maguire. But it was cool because it took a lot of creative liberties with its story and with its kind of direction. Because you might remember that game. There was Shocker, there was Vulture, there was Scorpion. They weren't even in the movie.
The Sandman was in there too.
Sandman was in there? I don't remember that. But
I think he was one of the first villains, and you had to open one of the fire hydrants to take him, to damage him, to be able to damage him.
Yeah, but that was really fun. Because as a kid, I didn't know what I was doing in those games at all. I always knew that I had to follow the compass, and following the compass was tedious, and it was a task for me. It was quite the task. I did not know what I was doing following the compass.
Right. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Let me correct myself.
Yeah.
The Tobey Maguire movie did not have Sandman. I think there was another Spider-Man, just a Spider-Man title game.
Yeah.
I think it was based off the animated series.
Oh, that's nice.
That one was really fun.
Yeah.
That one had the whole,
Rogues Gallery.
The whole Rogues Gallery.
Really?
Yeah.
What was it on? PS2?
PS1.
PS1.
Nice. I had the PS1 disc, and I don't know how I made it to work, but I think the PlayStation 2...
Yeah. Backwards compatibility on the original PS2, yeah.
I think probably. So. Yeah. I think we already talked about this, but for your audience, for those of you who don't know, the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man video game adaptation, it has a added content that you can unlock via code or like a cheat code where you can play as Green Goblin, and it has its own mini game, and you can fly around the city as a Green Goblin.
I'm curious to try that because I still have the game somewhere here. I want to see how to do that and possibly see if that works.
I think I played that game 15 years ago or something, and only last year did I.
You found out? Wow!
I saw it recommended. I was like, oh, that's a cool mod. Why would anybody mod that game it's so old? But it's not modded. It's an actual addition to the game. Yeah, they did take a lot of creative liberties.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, Spider-Man on the PS2 was interesting because it was right after I saw the movies, and it had Tobey Maguire's voice, Tobey Maguire's face, all the characters' voices and faces felt so real. And what I realized is when I first played the game, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I enjoyed it. It was fun swinging around, doing stuff, fighting bad guys, but I was just not very good at the game. Until maybe, I would say 5 or 6 years later, I played it with my cousin who came to visit me, and we beat the entire game. And
Whoa.
I realized how much it had taken as inspiration from classic beat-em-ups and classic combat heavy fighting games and adventure games. Yeah, one of my cousins.
I don't know how, but I think we lived the same life.
Yeah.
Literally, I did the exact same thing. I
Yeah.
didn't play it for 5 years or so.
Yeah.
My cousin picked it up, and he taught me how to dodge.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know when you had the spidey sense, you could dodge it. And he showed me how to do that.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, the game is actually cool.
Yeah.
I was bad at web, swinging around.
Yeah.
because I had it on set like on a difficult setting where you could like web swing with the triggers like left or right.
Yeah.
And I messed it up for me, but my cousin fixed it. My cousin also fixed
for
it.
me, the game defaulted for me to just like holding R2. I would just hold R2 and it would just go. And that felt nice, but I really enjoyed like the level of verticality and the climbing and all that. That was great. But let's see.
The issues that I would like the left and right triggers, you have to alternate, right? And I would like press them and I would forget to release the other one, and Spidey would just be hanging from both hands. And I was like stuck holding on.
I don't really like how they did that because it's so tedious having to do it both at the same time rhythmically. Yeah. I prefer it to be... I love how PS4 did it because you just like shoot the web whenever you want. And that did it very well. But moving on to... Do you have any other like PS2 superhero games that you want to talk about?
I do have a very... it's special to me because that game challenged me and it helped me grow as a gamer, and it's the original Hulk game.
Yeah.
I had just watched the Eric Bana movie. It's not like critically acclaimed, but I loved it growing up and playing the game. Like it's so fun being Hulk and playing through like the movie-based settings. But what's really cool is that they had missions as Bruce, where you were very weak. They really made you a weakling, and you had to use your wits to solve the puzzles as Bruce. And I really liked that dynamic. It was a fan favorite of mine. Plus the ending, they changed it. Like you get to fight. Was it Brainiac? No, Brainiac.
Brainiac is DC.
Who's the equivalent of Brainiac?
Probably Ultron.
Not Ultron.
Wasn't Ultron? MODOK. Was it MODOK? Who was it?
It wasn't MODOK. Maybe it was. I don't know.
MODOK is like that guy with the giant head and like the tiny arms.
He's a Hulk villain, and
he's a Hulk villain,
and he has like a really big head. He was teased in the Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton towards the end.
Really?
Yes. It was a doctor that had like the gamma stuff fall on his scar on his head.
Probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never played the Hulk games, but I really wish they create a good quality Hulk game that is that doesn't require me to play the Avengers game to play as the Hulk. I hope so. But yeah.
I think if they remaster that game,
it
would be beautifully done.
Yeah.
I think so. And I think the second best Hulk that you could play, and I know you're gonna make fun of me for saying this, but it's in the Lego Marvels game.
Yeah.
They do it really well. You get to transform into Hulk and back to Bruce when you need them. They do it in a kind-hearted way.
But what else? I want to jump now into the big major hitters, which you might have a lot to talk about. So, of course, both of us are big fans of the Arkham games. Arkham Asylum was interesting for me because I played that for the first time at a friend's house, like way back when it came out. And like I had never played a game like that, so it was cool, it was interesting. And then I don't really know what got me back into the game. I think it was because the fact that Arkham City released and the hype was there. So I was like, hey, let me go back and try this game out, and I loved it. Basically, there was this guy online who used to do Let's Plays of these games. He was like some Indian guy who used to do Let's Plays of these games. And he was very entertaining and really big Batman fan and all that. So I used to watch his Let's Plays and I was like, I need to play this game. I do want to say that Arkham Asylum, very, very good. I got it for Christmas. This is a very weird Christmas. I got 3 PS3 games, which were Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Uncharted 3. But then I also got a Wii U, and that was the first time ever. I for Christmas I got Nintendo stuff and non-Nintendo stuff, and I was playing the non-Nintendo stuff more. Because everyone knows that I'm like the biggest Nintendo fan, but also everyone knows that the Wii U was a monumental failure. So it was interesting playing the Wii U and enjoying it, but I was like, I don't know what else I'm gonna do with this. And
not for Arkham City Armored Edition.
Yeah, Arkham City Armored Edition. Unfortunately, I did not get the Armored Edition, but I did play it on my other friend's Wii U, and it is quite the experience. It is quite.
You could flick the thing and throw the batarang.
Yeah, I remember the commercial said, "Point your gamepad to the TV and shoot your batarang for unprecedented accuracy." And I was like, okay, I'll be the judge of that. But yeah, I really enjoyed Arkham Asylum, and I played it all the way through, beat it in like a couple days. Arkham City, that Christmas day, or like that Christmas week, I played it for like 7 hours straight, and at that time, it was the longest I had spent playing a game ever.
Well, let me tell you, when I found out there is a Batman game exists, that exists, I hadn't owned like a PlayStation 3 yet. I was still stuck in the PlayStation 2 phase, and my parents would not budge to buy me the PS3. Okay? So the PS3 had both Asylum and City. I had missed out on the Asylum stuff. When I got into City, I saw gameplay of it. I didn't even see the trailer. I saw gameplay of it, and I saw somebody gliding. I was blown away. Moments later, this guy, I think it was one of the developers, he was saying, "Oh yeah, by the way, you can keep gliding forever if you master this dive bomb thing."
Yeah.
This dive
which
bomb
wasn't in Asylum.
Which wasn't but I did not know that. I was like immediately like thrown into this, and I was like, I'm buying the game just for the gliding. Like that game put me in a Batman craze. Like all throughout high school, I was obsessed with Batman, sketching him, buying his comics, and I bought all the I bought the Arkham Asylum comic. I read it, and I was like, this is creepy. Like how is it? How are the games based off of this? And then I bought Asylum, and I noticed how they really flesh out the creepiness of the characters in Asylum, but ultimately it evolved into City, which was more mass marketed and ultimately more successful. Really, it was a phenomenal balance of everything.
You want to talk quickly about your experience with Arkham Knight?
Yes,
because I want to hear that, and you might have a decent bit to say about that as well.
So after beating Arkham City and like really falling in love with the franchise and like going back to beat Arkham Asylum, and those were my first two games that I got platinum trophies on. Okay, so after doing that, I told myself like I can't wait for the next one, and Arkham Knight was being announced, and people were estimating, it's gonna come out in 3 years and 4 years. I was counting the days since it was announced. That was the only game in my life where I was counting the days. It got delayed a year. The year it was supposed to come out, it got delayed a year. That year was the longest year of my life. I waited, and then it finally came out, and I played it. And I gotta tell you something. Like all these years of waiting, I set myself up for disappointment, big time. And I thought for the longest time that I was just being a harsh critic, but as I've replayed the game and also got a platinum trophy on it and just did everything in the game, I noticed that the community also feels the same way, where the story in Arkham Knight wasn't really the same. Like it wasn't the same passionate storytelling that Asylum and City and even Origins that Warner Brothers Montreal had. It just lost the magic touch of storytelling for Batman. And I think that was its ultimate downfall. Everything else, it is the perfect Batman simulator.
Yeah.
If you want to feel like Batman roaming around the city driving the Batmobile, Arkham Knight is perfection. But as far as an experience, you're much better off playing Arkham City, which is my favorite superhero video game.
I think it's also, as of now, my favorite superhero video game of all time as well. And it's because of so many things. Like, the story is great, the places you go and the things and the like interactions you have in that game are what makes it so memorable. I actually replayed both the games in 2021. I replayed both Asylum and City, and it was very different from what I remember them being. In good ways and bad ways, but for the most part, it was just really interesting, like, experiencing these games as like an adult versus as a teenager. Because as a teenager, it's all clouded in your head, like, oh man, it's so cool, and now you're thinking of it in like an analytical way and all that, and you're like, oh, this was done so much better in City, whereas, oh, I feel like this was done better in Asylum. Oh, this was done this. I think almost, like, the story is great in both games. I think I might almost like the story better in Asylum, because Asylum is so unique with how it just traps you in the place, and you're like, you feel so claustrophobic.
The madhouse.
Yeah, you feel so claustrophobic, yet you have so much, like, room to do stuff. And on top of that, it reminded me of a Metroidvania game. I think I told you about this before, but for those of you watching at home, Metroidvania, the genre, is basically you can be in a 2D map or a 3D environment, and you have kind of like a maze-like labyrinthian kind of map design. And you go and do stuff, but sometimes you might reach a roadblock, and you might have to go somewhere else and get like a new gadget or item, which will make you, which will make it possible to like get new like collectibles and items along the way that you couldn't get before, as well as like get past roadblocks you couldn't get past earlier. So that's something that I was reminded of in Arkham Asylum, when I was like, oh, I have the line launcher now, let me try using it in this area where I couldn't use it before. And I was like, oh, now I can get this Riddler trophy that I saw in the early parts of the game, which I couldn't get then, but I can get now. And even like finding like new Easter eggs and stuff. And just those Riddler trophies is one thing, that's whatever. The Riddler riddles were so cool.
They tell a story, they tell Batman lore.
Yeah.
They really immerse you in the game.
Yeah, because you see the riddles, and you're like, oh, what does this mean? And then you, like, scan it, and you're like, oh, I get it because of this, like, visual kind of cue, and it's so geniusly done.
It really is.
But, let's move on from Batman, and let's...
What?
Nothing. So, let's move on from Batman, and let's talk about... Do you want to talk about any other Batman games before we move on to the big superhero, the one that means the most to us? You want to talk about more Batman?
There's a couple of Batman games that I played also with my cousins quite a bit. It's called Batman Rise of Sin Tzu, and it's basically like a co-op beat 'em up. If anybody just wants to have like a fun Batman experience, it's such a cool game. And that was like how I was introduced to Nightwing as a kid, and I discovered him and I was obsessed with him ever since. Yeah. That's as far as the Batman games go. Yeah.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room, or I guess you could say the giant tarantula in the room. Yeah, so Spider-Man means a whole lot to us. I personally relate to the character a lot, being a nerdy kid who likes superheroes. I mean, Spider-Man is very relatable. Both of us grew up on the Tobey Maguire movies, and we talked about Spider-Man PS2, Spider-Man on the PS2 a little while ago. But now I want to talk about the major hit superhero game on the PS4, Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man. And I want to tell a little story about this. So, on my 20th birthday, this game released. On literally my 20th birthday. But the issue is, I didn't have a PS4. And I was like, this game, this game was like one of my most anticipated games of the year. Because like I didn't have a Switch then, and Smash Bros. Smash Bros. Was announced. But like I didn't have a Switch. So at that time. So like Spider-Man was my most.
But you had a good friend.
Yeah, I'll get to that.
You lived right by.
Yeah. So basically, what happened was on my 20th birthday, I gave you a call. I was like, "Hey, are you gonna get Spider-Man?" And you're like, "Hey, let's somehow get to GameStop and let's get Spider-Man." So one of our other friends drove us all the way to GameStop. We picked up Spider-Man, we came back and we're like, oh yeah, let's play this, we're so excited. Put the disc in, and it said like an hour and a half to install because of it was crappy college Wi-Fi.
We played Doom instead.
Yeah, we played Doom instead and annoyed your roommates, and then finally Spider-Man was ready, and we played it, and we loved it, and we played it the entire day. But
FYI, this guy lived like 2 doors down from me. Coincidentally, like a freshman year, we lived right next to each other, and then we moved to random apartments, and like coincidentally again, we were also 2 doors like.
I'm pretty sure we planned that. I'm 90%
sure.
No,
we didn't.
I'm very sure we planned. But anyways, so what happened is I enjoyed this game so much, and Shark told me, hey, just make your own file on this game. Come over whenever you want. If the door is unlocked, just come in and play Spider-Man. So there were times after class where I'd be like, hey, are you home? Can I come by and play Spider-Man? He was like, no, but I'll leave the door unlocked. You can come in and start up the PS4 and play whatever you want. So I would literally do that. I would get done with class, go to Shark's apartment and play Spider-Man. And I got like halfway through the game, and then I was like, I just want to play this on my own eventually. And luckily, I was one of the first people to get a PS5 at launch. And one of the first people in our friend group as well to get a PS5, so that was nice. And then I got it, and the first game I got was Spider-Man Deluxe, the Ultimate Edition with Miles Morales and Spider-Man 1.
The deluxe combo.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it. It's great on PS5 because, of course, graphics, ray tracing, 60 FPS, all that. But I think the best thing is with the adaptive triggers, the web slinging feels so nice.
It is.
It feels really good. And I think the fluidity of that game is unmatched. Even the combat is great. I think the combat is better in the Arkham games.
Traversal is insane.
Yeah, the traversal is insane. I think just flying through New York is so phenomenally well done.
Even when Ian played it, he just like...
Dude, Ian was so engrossed in this game. Ian, you want to come and talk about it?
Man.
Yeah, Ian, come here. Ian, come here.
I'll say.
Oh, wait, before Ian talks about it, I just want to introduce Ian, our other friend, Ian. So Ian, lean in a bit more.
Yeah, you're a little bit out of frame.
Yeah. Okay,
Ian,
you want to talk about your experience with Spider-Man?
Well, I'm not a guy that's super into hero games, right? Like, I don't have a lot of experience in them. I like shooter games and strategy games.
He was playing Frostpunk for like 2 hours straight today.
Yeah, that's his game.
I love that game. But let me tell you, man, like, Spider-Man game, like, I want to get a PS now.
Yeah.
Like, I really want to get a PS4, because, like, damn, that was a good game. Like, I was swinging around the place trying to get... And, you know, the fun thing is that I played it not just myself, but I saw Shrikar play it too, like another friend of ours, and he's a more methodical, quiet guy. And, you know, we both played it on our own terms. Like, we were trying to clear out this building, for example. And I was swinging from pole to pole, from corner to corner, from room to room, like, taking out guys with speed. Mm-hmm. Like, trying to, like, jump from one place, hit a guy with speed, and then jump to the next guy, and so on and so forth.
Because with a simple triangle, you can just zip to the next guy who's closest to you.
It was so much fun. For me, it was incredible. But then, you know, I gave it to our friend, Shrikar, and he jumped from one place to another. He picked one guy up.
He was doing the stealth,
doing it stealth mode, like, slowly and methodically, you know? And that's what really surprised me, is that we could both play it the way we wanted to.
Yeah. What's cool about Spider-Man is you can approach encounters however you want, stealth or hand-to-hand combat. Whereas Batman, it's more like you have to do this combat hand-to-hand, or you have to do it stealth. Because the stealth mode, you have they have the firearms. Yeah. So like that's one thing I really appreciated about Spider-Man a lot.
They give you a lot of flexibility on your approaches, for sure.
Yeah.
Dude, but here's something about the game that you may not have encountered personally, but playing the heck out of the game. Look, something about me, when I love a game, I go for all the unlockables, all the collectibles. I try to achieve everything. And something about that game I wasn't a fan of is the amount of gadgets you have.
Yeah, I didn't use any of them. I just used the web shooters to like...
They were cool, don't get me wrong. I just did not find many applications of them where with Batman, like, you knew where you could use, and you had to use like a lot of your gadgets. That's
something that Arkham City did so well with the quick firing of every weapon, with the hotkeys and stuff. That was so well done.
Arkham Knight got rid of that. So in Arkham City, there was like the D-pad allowed you to swap between gadgets quickly. Arkham Knight, you had to like completely halt the flow of the game to open like a weapon wheel where you would. I was just not a fan of that.
Yeah, and it had the quick firing, so like if you did like double tap R2, you can throw the freeze bombs, or if you double tapped R1, you could throw the batarang or the back claw or something like that. Spider-Man, one thing I did want to talk about before we move on to our most anticipated superhero games is Spider-Man did something so well is that I didn't expect it to be a good story. I didn't expect it to have that good of a story. I didn't expect it to be like a good Peter Parker story. But honestly, this Spider-Man from the PS4 games is probably one of my favorite versions of Peter Parker. But one cool thing about the story is it was very original. Like the originality of it was so well done, yet it still felt like it fit into the grander like Marvel universe that they've built. So I really enjoyed it.
And they're planning on expanding that universe through that Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
They have big plans.
Yes, which we will talk about shortly. Do you wanna talk about our favorite superhero movies or games now? Or our most anticipated superhero games?
I think that was a good segue to talk about Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Because I think that game is gonna be like what Arkham City was to Arkham Asylum. Like
I really hope so.
I think Spider-Man 2 is gonna introduce like things in the game that will completely enhance the player experience. It's gonna be like what Ragnarok is to God of War 2018.
Yeah, it's nice that now we're gonna have both Miles and Peter, because we got a little taste of what Miles is like with Miles Morales. And I will say, Miles' abilities are very cool, so it's nice to see that they will play very differently, but I want to see what they have in store in terms of, like, how much more different it'll be after the events of Miles Morales and Spider-Man. So,
and do you have any theories about what they're gonna do in that game?
Story-wise, no. I don't really know what's gonna happen, or I don't Gameplay-wise, I am also at a loss, because they could make it the same New York that we already know, but I hope they don't do that. I think they might.
I have 3 solid theories of gameplay improvement. I'm also at a loss in terms of story. I think they're going to make a brand new, unique story. But here's the 3 gameplay theories. Number 1, they're going to go back and add the option to have you alternate web swinging for those that did enjoy it on the original Spider-Man 2.
I highly doubt that, but we'll see.
It's a theory. I mean, you doubt it, you don't doubt it.
We'll see.
I'm theorizing that they will add that feature because a lot of people I've seen in the community demand it. Number 2, they're gonna add a GTA 5-esque swap characters where you can like swap from Peter to Miles mid swing or mid battle, something like Arkham Knight 2. I don't know if you've played those sections where you fight alongside Nightwing and you can swap characters. And last theory is they're gonna like, this is, I haven't seen anybody like talk about that, but I played Spider-Man the Ultimate Spider-Man, and that game had you play as Spider-Man and Venom, and I think it's gonna be a post-game edition where, because Venom is gonna be in the game.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to be able to play as Venom post-game.
That would be really cool. That would be very cool.
I think
either post-game or DLC or something like that. If they add Venom, that would be really nice.
And for sure, they're going to have black suit. Like
100%. Yeah, it's going to have black suit. That's why I think... here's one gameplay thing that I just thought about. Miles has his Venom powers, as they're called in the Miles Morales game.
Why are they
I don't know why they're calling it Venom powers, because it's like electricity. So that's what Miles is gonna have, while Peter is going to have the black suit powers. Right. So that would be very cool. But I'm very excited to see how the black suit will corrupt Peter. Yeah,
I think it's gonna. Have you played Spider-Man 3?
No, I didn't.
So. In that game, you could activate your black suit
whenever you wanted.
Yeah.
Yes, Bully Maguire mode.
He does a little dance before you press forward. But I think they may add that too. I think whatever suit you're wearing, whatever skin, there's gonna be a Venom version of it.
Yeah.
I think that would be a cool idea.
That would be cool. Yeah, that would be nice, because they have a lot of suits in that game. If they do something like that, that would be nice. Yes, there's something I did want to talk about. Yeah, in terms of map, I hope they expand more to other parts of New York, or maybe have it take place in an entirely different area of New York. Not Chicago, but an entirely outside of New York, or I don't know, the first game was in New York City, right? Heart of New York, Manhattan. It was in Manhattan, right? Or was it New York City?
I honestly don't mind any expansions. If they keep the map similar or adjusted, I think.
Yeah, I just want some changes in the map.
I want a good story, really. That's all I need.
Well, doesn't in the story now Spider-Man is moving to Boston? Not in the games, but at least in the movies, he's supposed to be moving to Boston, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That's interesting.
You know, there was some I'm probably very wrong about this, but he's moved in again with MJ, right? At the end of the first game, and it's teased in Miles Morales they've gone on a vacation or something, right? What if they move somewhere else?
That would be very wild.
Yeah, what if they move? But then what makes Miles come with them? You'd be like, hey, can I join too?
Well, I don't know. It's an out there.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Well, the thing is, the thing that makes New York very possible for Spider-Man games is that New York is so dense in tall skyscraper buildings. And there's a lot of cities, if we think about, Boston or,
Chicago,
Dallas, LA. It's look, they have a lot of skyscrapers, but it's not condensed into one small island in New York City.
Yeah, it is true.
So that would be pretty hard to
Washington, maybe.
I
mean, they did do the Far From Home in Washington.
Well,
no.
Far From Home was in Europe.
Europe. But wait, it was the first one. It was Homecoming.
Really?
They had the school trip in Washington.
Yes. They did go to the Washington Monument. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Washington Monument has to be the tallest point in DC. So there's not gonna have
the main city. Isn't there any?
Yeah, no, but you have the Capitol, and then you have a lot of not very tall buildings around it. There's not a lot of skyscrapers around the main buildings in DC. So it would not be a good location, structurally wise. You would have to think of a city that's incredibly dense in skyscrapers.
I mean, dude, Chicago is that.
Yeah, that's fair. Most cities you could make it. LA probably.
LA's too sprawled out.
Yeah.
I think we've talked a lot about Spider-Man 2. I want to move on to some other games. So we're on the high of Spider-Man 2. So let's talk about Wolverine real quick. Wolverine was announced last year. No, it was announced in 2021. Dang.
I have a good
time
theory
flies.
of Wolverine for you.
Yeah, but I don't think Wolverine is going to release for a while. I'm guessing maybe 2024 or 2025. But I'm just very happy that they're making a Wolverine game, and that Insomniac is expanding this Marvel universe, because they're the ones to do it, and they've done very well with it. So I'm very curiously excited how a story-driven Wolverine game will be, and especially how the combat will be. I know you have some experience with that, so you can share that as well.
For sure. No, the thing about this next game, since Insomniac is trying to build their Marvel gaming universe, I am so interested in what direction this Wolverine game is going to take. Because they could go like the Logan path, make it a very personal, like beginning story, like about Wolverine and where he lives and what he does. Or they could go like the Avengers Initiative path and introduce a bunch of people in that Wolverine game, from the X-Men, from the Fantastic Four, and that game could really go either way, because they have confirmed it exists in the same universe.
Yes.
So they could easily bring in a lot of characters, or as equally keep it very personal. Needless to say, I think this game is going to bring back a lot of elements that Wolverine Origins brought in. They're going to have a lot of gore in it. It's going to be...
Yeah, it's going to be very M-rated, I hope.
It will be, and it's going to be freaking intense.
Yeah. I kind of hope they take the Logan route, because from what we saw, it seems like that kind of aesthetic and like kind of like a Western.
The bar and...
I'm very excited for Wolverine. We know next to nothing about it. We just know that Wolverine's in the game and he's sitting at a bar drinking beer or a cocktail.
Here's something I really hope to see in this game. Something of a counter system that is similar to like Sekiro.
Yeah, because you can do it because you have blades on your...
You have freaking blades, and it does have a Western feel, and you could argue it does have also a samurai feel too.
Yeah.
I would really hope they would
they should take notes from Software for that.
For sure. And I think they should really Insomniac is freaking great company. I just hope to see some samurai elements too, like from what was that Wolverine movie called? The Wolverine.
Oh, the Wolverine, yeah.
Where he went to Japan.
And that's not X-Men Origins, right?
No,
isn't it?
It's a separate movie.
There's
there's
the Wolverine, and then there's X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah, I love that movie because it was so freaking cool. It was Wolverine in Japan. It was such a beautiful movie. It was such a great movie.
It was a good movie.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen it. I should give it a watch.
Well, here's the thing. Like, there's just like, you cannot make a Wolverine that's not brutal game anymore, because the thing is, like, we grew up with those movies, but we grew up with those movies. What I'm saying is, like, it's us and people our age who really got to experience the Wolverine and who make it popular.
Yeah.
So even though Wolverine was popular as maybe a little less brutal for character back in the day, that's because we were still younger back in the day. So that's a less brutal Wolverine is just not going to sell now.
Yeah.
Also, video games are a different world. Like, Wolverine in video games has always been visceral.
Yeah, I think the Hugh Jackman renaissance of Wolverine made him the way he is, and I really like that. Like, I'll always like the classic yellow suit Wolverine with the horns and stuff, but this modern take on him is
revolutionary.
It's what it is.
I'll say this, okay?
Yeah.
With the recent Deadpool having Hugh Jackman come in, I'm gonna put big money that Deadpool will make some kind of appearance in the Wolverine game.
I really hope Deadpool is in the Wolverine game. That would actually be really cool.
Same.
That would be exciting.
Yeah, that would be... Oh my god. Look, that Wolverine game... Okay, here's my final theory, okay? Just like in the far future of the effects of what Insomniac is doing with Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine. I think this Wolverine game... and we're going to talk about another theory later.
Yeah.
But that Wolverine game will open so many doors for a lot of superhero games, including Ian's favorite superhero.
Oh, no way.
The Punisher.
Hell yeah.
The Punisher game would be cool, yeah.
I think that if that game blows up, that Wolverine game blows up, it would unlock potential for a Punisher game. It would unlock a potential for an X-Men game and a brand new Deadpool game. I did enjoy the one that they put out on the PS3, but...
Yeah, I've heard that was actually a good game.
It's good, but, dude... They could do so much better. Yeah. And I think that Wolverine game will unlock a ton of Marvel properties to be made into video games. Yeah. I could see it already.
I'm excited for the future. So yeah, let's move on and talk about another game. Do you have any other Marvel future games that you want to mention before we move on to DC's big release of this year?
I'm ready to go to DC, man.
All right, let's talk
DC.
Let's talk about let's talk about Suicide Squad because
Oh my God.
you have a lot to say about this.
I'm scared.
But-
That's what I'm gonna say right now. I'm scared.
But do you want to talk about your history of your hype surrounding Suicide Squad? Because that's interesting. That's a story unto itself.
So basically, Rocksteady with the game director Sefton Hell, I put all my faith in them since Arkham City, and after they fired Paul Dini and Arkham Knight story went to crap, I started having big doubts, but I still had hope that the next one is going to be revolutionary. They're going to change stuff, and they announced Suicide Squad, and the title was Kill the Justice League. That alone made me so hyped up because they announced the characters. It's Harley Quinn, King Shark, and Deadshot, and Boomerang.
Yeah.
So these 4 scrubs are gonna kill Superman, Green Lantern, Flash, Wonder Woman, Batman, and God knows who the other 2 are gonna be for the Justice League. So you're facing gods, and you're just basically side characters. So that alone made me so hyped up for the story because they must have some crazy revelation that they're gonna do and how they're gonna defeat them. It has like God of War 3 vibes.
Yeah.
You know, Kratos taking down the whole Greek pantheon. So that already hyped me up. Now, here comes the doubts. Sefton Hill and excuse me, I forget the other director's name. They quit like prior release. And they announced,
Development's done, but before the game's released, they've left.
which is odd because usually they love doing press for their games. They love to stick around and do press for that because they're usually proud of their products. So now that they want to move away from that and not be involved, it's concerning for me. Number 2, they announced it's a live service game.
They didn't announce it; it was leaked. Yeah, that's one. Wait, hold on.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was leaked. So basically, there were some screenshots that were leaked about the Suicide Squad game, which are being Are you coming back?
Yeah.
Okay. No. So basically, there was So basically, there were screenshots that were leaked about the Suicide Squad game, which have been taken down by Warner Brothers, which validate its the fact that it's real. It makes it more real that they're being like taken down and stuff, right? So basically, it shows like the menu of the game, and it shows like a battle pass and like this and whatnot. So like that raised some concerns that this might be sort of like an Avengers kind of game. Yeah.
Maybe that just did not work, huh?
Ian just wants to butt in.
Yeah, it's just who I am.
I hope your laugh makes the cut.
So,
See
what
what
were you talking about?
So, I haven't played the Avengers game. I frankly haven't played many live service games. I haven't played any live service games at all. So, I don't know exactly how this would work. I don't know how this battle pass would work and why it's even being considered, because this has been marketed as like a single player kind of experience. So, even Avengers was a single player experience, but I don't really know how this will work out and amount to be anything like outside the realm of a single player narrative experience.
Well, here's something that Ian and I were actually discussing, and it does not necessarily relate to games, but it relates to like market trends. And usually like companies and like if a company starts to like develop a certain product, other rivaling companies try to research which direction that company is taking, that they're betting their money on, and they usually try to move in the same direction.
Yeah,
And
Ubisoft does that a lot. I think you've seen Ubisoft is doing a lot of their recent games are, as people call it, trend chasing games.
Yes.
Bunch of battle royale games, bunch of open world games with season passes and battle passes and all this convoluted
for better or
crap
worse,
and
right?
microtransactions and all that. So
like when Fortnite first came out, I personally I liked it, and then I kind of deviated away from it. But something that Fortnite had an effect, like whether you love it or hate it, Fortnite had such an impact on the market. Games like Call of Duty has put out a free game.
Yeah, Warzone and
who would have ever thought that Call of Duty, a company that cashes in $60 on a game every year, would put out a free game where you could play with hundreds of other players online in an open world map.
And you know, here's the thing: like, the trend chasing doesn't bother me all that much. What bothers me is that it's usually done with half effort. You know, they don't pursue it all the way. Here's the thing that I think a lot of people who play the games I play would disagree with me, is that Battlefield would have made an excellent battle royale, like team battle royale experience. Oh my god, it would have been so good. But they didn't put all of it in it.
They didn't.
Yeah, they didn't put in the effort. They didn't make it as good. But like, there's a lot of games that had potentials to trend chase, and they would have done well. I think the reason people hate trend chasing is because it's done with no effort at all.
The issue is that when you want to make something, you want to make a quality product, you need quality workers that are passionate about whatever they're working on.
Yeah.
But just like most people just want to cash in. People just want to make a buck and move on with their life. And that's why not every product is a big hit. That's why a game like God of War Ragnarok, full of like passionate individuals trying to tell a story, you know, just like your cousin was like discounting it as like an over-the-shoulder game. And it does have very similar, you know, third-person game mechanics, but the story is like one of a kind.
Yeah.
The game design is
Another example is Elden Ring, and you would never expect a From Software game to sell like 12 plus million copies in its first couple months because of the barrier of entry and like it's a difficult game and all that. And I remember even EA was saying like, oh, single player games are dead, it's all about multiplayer live service, microtransactions, all that stuff, right? And then you get games like God of War, Elden Ring, Zelda Breath of the Wild, all these games that are in the conversation more than a lot of these other trend-chasing games that are not doing it as well. Not providing lasting experiences, providing kind of fleeting experiences, I could say.
When you play a game, you want to feel connected, just like any other artistic medium. When you watch a movie, you want to feel like you're connected. You want to escape from whatever you're doing and go into a world that you feel connected with somehow, whether it's through your friends online or whether it's through the story or the experience. The reason why I have big doubts about Rocksteady's latest installment, no matter how polished or pretty it is, I feel like the directors quit early because they don't feel that connection to their product.
Yeah.
And I'm having doubts on it too, even though it's my most anticipated title.
Yeah, my doubts stem more from the fact that we haven't seen a whole bunch of full-on gameplay to like dig our teeth into and be like, what is this game truly going to be? What's the progression going to be like? What's the whole... We've just seen like snippets of like them like doing their combat and flying around and doing stuff. It looks cool, but like, how does this game play more than just that?
I agree.
Because it can't... the whole concept is cool, kill the Justice League, you're playing as a Suicide Squad. I don't know if it's going to sell me on just that, though. So I want to see more of what this game is going to do.
Let me take this conversation to the bright side.
Yeah.
Just to leave it on a good note.
Yeah.
Okay, for DC. If they do this game right, and people start to get on the DC train again, because unfortunately the movies are not doing very well recently.
Oh no, unfortunately.
And we can talk about that on a different podcast. But if this game blows up and it's actually a wonderful game, people are going to be interested in the Justice League again, and it would be a great segue
for a Justice League game.
Or
it's not live service like the Avengers game.
Yes, I think it should be focused on Superman. And if they make a solo Superman game, which a lot of people have been begging online for, I think just like the Wolverine game, Superman would unlock the potential for many flying superhero like titles. You could have a Green Lantern title, you can have a Wonder Woman title, and potentially like a whole other roster for DC characters, and like the Teen Titans or God knows, like anything. Like your imagination can run. That's these are the doors that this game would unlock.
Yeah. Exciting stuff. Any last couple closing statements you guys want to make about the future of superhero games, or why you enjoy them, or any of that?
I'm very happy to be alive and experiencing these wonderful games. I never thought that I would be able to be Spiderman and Batman at that high quality, and I'm just so excited for the future. Even if the games are good or bad, like I'm just excited. It's gonna be a fun time.
Yeah. You want to say anything? The biggest superhero game fan in the room.
I'm not, as I said in the beginning, I'm not super into hero games, but the Spider-Man game I think is the first game since Halo 2 that made me want to get a game console. So that's my closing note.
Oh, also, fun thing for you, Ian. Spider-Man, the first one, is on PC now, so you can play it on Steam.
No, never mind then. Screw PlayStation.
Yeah. So the sequel will eventually come to PC. So, yeah. I'm very excited for Spider-Man. I'm very excited for Wolverine. I'm more excited for other games, but I'm very excited for these. I'll just say that. But I think a lot of superhero games are very immersive. We can talk about this some other time, but Shark was telling me about how certain games are very good examples of good simulation experiences, and these superhero games do that very well with putting you in the shoes of that specific superhero. So yeah, with that, I guess we can close out. Thank you guys for joining and for taking part in this. Yes. So yeah, this is Shark. You can want to promote anything or just talk about yourself.
I hope to potentially someday put out some YouTube videos as well, so you can subscribe to Shark Attack for silly content.
Link in the description below.
And potentially Daedalus Film Productions. I'm working on a detective movie. Hopefully it comes out by the end of this year, 2023.
Also link in the description.
Thank you. And thank you so much for putting my content out there too. I appreciate it.
You wanna talk about yourself? Any final words, Ian?
I got nothing to plug.
But yeah, this has been Nishquick, Shark, and Ian signing off, and get excited for Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Suicide Squad later.